Recently, researchers have synthesized threose-based nucleic acid, TNA, as potential precursors of RNA and DNA. Since it's obvious that RNA and DNA could not form spontaneously on primitive Earth. Researchers have found that complementary TNAs form double helices among themselves and even with complementary RNAs and DNAs. How could a primitive organism that used TNA, and we're not talking about tits and ass here, but TNA, how could it use DNA as its genetic material switch to RNA? There are two potential mechanisms, both of which suffer major, almost certainly fatal problems. In one mechanism, a TNA-based primitive organism would have synthesized RNAs for a purpose other than replication, such as means to inhibit TNA synthesis in a competing organism. Under such a scenario, RNA replication would have evolved independently of TNA replication and ultimately took over as the means by which cells reproduce themselves. However, since the two genetic systems never interacted, no useful genetic information would have been transferred from TNA to RNA. It is unclear how the original TNA replication system could have been turned off, or the more important problem of how a complete RNA genetic system could have evolved in the absence of natural selection. In the alternative mechanism, RNA bases were at first subsequently randomly a few at a time in TNA sequences until the proportion of RNA components increased over time from almost 0 to 100%. The information present originally in the TNA sequence was, at least in part, preserved in the RNA in the final RNA sequence. However, this theory suffers from the major drawback that the introduction of a substantial number of RNA bases at random would almost certainly destroy the catalytic function of any particular TNA sequence, a fatal mutation, in addition to probably preventing replication of TNA, rendering evolved TNA sequences useless. As can be seen from what was mentioned in the previous videos here, the atheist position is becoming more extreme and less reasonable as more knowledge is gained through scientific studies. Atheists are becoming desperate and are now offering $1 million for an explanation that corresponds to empirical, biochemical, and thermodynamic reality, and be published in a well-respected, peer-reviewed science journal. In contrast, the revelation of creation from the Bible is being confirmed with the evidence of science. 5.